Recording. So welcome and welcome to everybody who's joining me here. So today, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tyler Watson, and I'm really excited to share with you. Hopefully my wife will be able to join me. She's on kiddo duty right now, so she may hop in and out to give some perspective as well. But today, the topic is something I'm really passionate about. Two things, actually. One is business and one is relationships. And I'm going to share with you 5 steps today how I maintain a 6-figure company while really having an awesome, amazing family. And I'm going to tell you, like, straight up, all the pieces that are good, all the pieces that are not good, things to watch out for, things to keep in check as you grow your company. And so I'm again, welcome for joining me. Tyler Watson here. For those of you who don't know me, if you've never met me, I might look like I'm 21, 19, some people say. I'm actually 29 this year. I'll be 29 next month. And I have 2 beautiful girls, a 3-year-old and soon to be 7-month-old. So really awesome. And I have a beautiful wife named Emily. And again, hopefully she'll be able to join us. So while we're getting started, I would love for everybody to just put in the chat box, what is it that you would like to get out of today? It's going to be a very interactive for those of you who are live. I'm going to write on this board. So let me just do a sound check. Can you hear me okay if I back up? Like, can you hear me okay if I'm from over here and talking? And can you see? Can you see that? Okay. Like if I write a word like that, can you see that? Let me know if that's, see it? Okay, great. So everybody can see in here.
He's gonna have to because.
So this will be awesome.
Look up where you're going.
Okay. Awesome. So let me just share real quick about my story for those of you who don't know, and then we're gonna dive into some content, okay? And while I'm kicking it off, I would love to hear your intention for what is it that attracted you to this webinar? What are you looking to get out of this? Because those who are here live, and even if you're listening to the recording, intention is key. Intention is key. When you're growing your business, when you're making money, when you're balancing your family, the moment that you lose intention is when everything starts to drop. The times where I've lost focus on family is when I start to fail there. Or when I stop focusing on business, that's when my results start dropping. So what's your intention today? I'm a believer that the power of intention is incredible. If you truly believe it and focus on something long enough, it manifests. And I'll share my story with you guys here in a second. But go ahead and put that in the chat box while I'm sharing my story. That way I would love to read over that and see what your intention is. Like, what would you like to get out of today? Because I want to tailor it to you, especially those live. And anyone in the recording, if you want to, you can email us your intention if we don't hit your intention here. And that'll help a lot. Okay, cool. So here's a little bit about my story. 4.5 years ago, I started as a Thai massage therapist. And my dad's a clinical kinesiologist, stepmom's a naturopath. And I always wanted to do something that helped people. But I did want to get paid well for it too. I saw my parents though, as you know, my mom went through 4 divorces, dad went through 2 of them. And I took a lot of that belief on myself that it was my fault, that I had to be perfect, that it was up to me to save people. And I had this feeling inside of me for a long time, but I never could feel safe enough to express it. So what this led to was me turning to pornography addictions, video game addictions, struggling in my business. I would give and give and give, but I wouldn't actually receive very much. And so my first year working at full time in the clinic and doing this entrepreneurial journey, I made $12,500, which is way less than minimum wage, but it paid the bills. We had lived in Branson, Missouri, so we made it, and I was very grateful for that. But it wasn't my ideal. It wasn't exactly what my intention was. So as I started to use these 5 steps that I'm going to teach you today, I was able to incorporate many of the principles and systems that helped me get my first 6 figures the next year, which was really cool to me. And it helped me step out of addiction and really focus on what I wanted, which ideally for me was a thriving family, a family that would stick together no matter what, whether we're up in income or down in income, that we could be happy together. And so that was my intention. And to talk with my wife, she was a speaker and a coach for 9 years, teaching youth leadership skills. So as I learned from her, I was able to see all that I went through was actually the gift that I could help others with in communicating. And so I created a system and a structure. And as I started to share that, and I got good at the enrollment and really understanding what people need and enrolling them for the right reasons, not out of money, but out of desire and passion and truly fitting their needs and meeting people where they're at, it became very fun. And I got to see that business is super awesome. And whereas before, I would literally shake in fear asking somebody for a check. I would shake and then I'd go home and I'd cry. It was terrible. And I know some of us go through that. But these steps that I've been through hopefully will provide some insight, which helped me go from a place of lacking to the next year creating over $135,000 to being able to then go up to $350,000 and then the next year 300. And so now we're at this year where we're doing in between 300 to 500,000. And I share that not to brag or not to be like, oh, more money or less money, but just to show that if you live the principles and do it, then they work. And that not to compare yourself to anybody, but to say that, hey, if you have a vision to have a good family life and create a good system and a good program that impacts the masses, that it's doable. And you don't have to be a genius. I don't think I'm a genius, but I do believe that I'm a hard worker. And it does take 3 things. Number 1, hard work, right? Number 2, smart work. Number 2 is smart work. So hard work and smart work. And number 3 is staying in integrity with yourself and your principles. Staying in integrity with yourself and your principles. Those 3 pieces are critical as you learn the 5 steps that I'm going to share with you. So it's been really great. My wife and I went from a place of not knowing how to communicate. I remember her saying, hey, Tyler, I want to talk to you. And me just being totally triggered, not wanting to talk. I would turn to games or movies. And now being in a place where we're always improving, I'm never going to say that I'm there. I've made it, but I'm constantly looking at ways to improve my marriage. And yesterday, we always have breakthroughs, new insights, new things to progress in. And that's how it should feel, right? We love progression in life. So let's see here. Cheryl says, I can hear you pretty well. I can see. I desire to create a multiple 6-figure income and become a better wife, mom, and mentor. Great intention. So Benny says, I want to be able to master each area of my life, especially my career and relationships. I want to be able to make money with my passion, helping people, and still have time for my family and wife. Great. So good. These are good intentions because the things I'm going to teach you today are going to help. All right. To give you some insight, I've coached over the past 4 years hundreds of people and helped many people go from, I don't have a specific number on it. I should probably do that because it's cool, but to help people who have never made any money to be able to do $18,000 in a week, to being able to do $40,000 in a month, to being able to do, I've even helped someone go from 6-figure income where they're making $120,000 a month to be able to do that, or where they were making $20,000 a month and where they started to do $120,000 a month. So it helped him go to 7 figures, which was really cool. He beat me. I was like, wow, that's cool. I'm not there yet. So these principles work if you apply them. So I'd love to just hear some insights. Can you guys hear me? Who's got a mic? I would love for somebody to just share. I love to do these interactive voice interaction. I'm going to ask lots of questions as we go through this. And here in a minute, the first step I'm going to teach you is going to help you see what you can do to take your business create your ideal lifestyle and build the business around it as an entrepreneur, especially coaching and speaking and mentoring areas. So does anyone have the ability to unmute yourself and just give me a shout out, say what you're excited for? Let me hear that you're alive and well. I see a couple people on, but I always like to just get some vocal verbiage back. I'm used to doing live events. So go ahead. Somebody hop on if you can, unmute yourself and give me a shout out. And then I'm going to dive into step one.
All right, let's do this.
Go for it, Benny.
I'm excited to learn from you, Tyler. Thanks for putting this on today.
I don't know if I can hear. I can't hear. Maybe.
I'm excited to learn from you today, Tyler. Thanks for putting this on.
Oh, maybe let me see if let me plug in my headphones here. Maybe it's. Try it again.
All right, can you hear me?
Speakers. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Go for it. Say it again.
Excited to learn today, Tyler.
Okay,
thanks. This is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I can hear you. My mic was coming out my Yeti. All right. So here's the first step, okay? In step one, in creating and maintaining a six-figure income as a coach, a speaker, or an entrepreneur, in any field, even if you're not an entrepreneur, this is the first step. Because if you don't do this, you're going to create a life of chaos. I have seen great people get their six-figure goal, and then their relationships drop. And then they go through chaos, and then they go through all this pain, and then it's like they have to start over and over and over. And so this first step is the most critical to being able to live your ideal lifestyle and truly tap into that. So here's what it is, and it's pretty much what I just said, but we're actually going to do an exercise to help you do this. So here it is. The first piece before you ever grow a business, before you ever go make money, is to map out exactly what you want in your life. Well, let me get specific here. I don't just mean like, I want to have $100,000 or I want to be a millionaire. I want to have millions. I want to be able to have time with my family. Like, those are so vague. That doesn't actually get us results. We need to be crystal clear and very specific as we write out our ideal lifestyle. So let me give you an example. So your ideal lifestyle might be something like this. You might say, okay, so out of the week, I work 15 hours a week or 10 hours a week or 30 hours a week, whatever your ideal is. And I work 3 days a week or I work 4 days a week. And you map out every single day. So for example, when I first did this, I said Monday is my creation day. I want Mondays to be my coordination and creation day, where I'm able to focus on the big picture and drive all day Monday, that it's all focused on what I want and what I'm creating. Day two, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I want it to be fulfillment, strategy sessions, so marketing, and I'm going to dive into all these subjects of how to market, how to actually set time aside and prioritize. But this is the ideal. So I was like, okay, so 3 days of the week I want to work. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where that includes marketing, fulfillment, and the sales conversations, okay? Marketing, fulfillment, and sales conversations. And then after Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my ideal was to have a full day where it's focused on my wife and date, right? Date and spouse. And that was because my vision is to have an amazing family life, you know, and most of us do, right? You know, why do you want to grow your business? What's the whole big picture? What's the point? If the point's just to make money, and I was coaching someone today about this, if you have an expectation that you your coach or someone shows you, like, it's like, oh, you can make $100,000 or you can make $1 million. And you take on that expectation just to please that person or to prove to yourself that it's doable. Number one, you're setting yourself up for failure and a lot of unhappiness. But if that person gives you perspective and you say, I truly feel like my life is aligned with that. I want to make this amount of money for this reason. And you have reasoning behind it and a purpose behind it, then you will be unstoppable because you're not living to try to prove someone else. You're not trying to fulfill someone else's expectations that you took on, right? And that happens all the time in entrepreneurs. Hopefully you're catching what I'm saying. I'm kind of diving in pretty deep right now. But anyway, that's the thing. So fourth day, that Friday is date day and full day for my wife. Saturdays, I wanted also to spend with my family and do like outings and travel and things like that. And then Sundays, I wanted to be a day of rest. And so for the first, I started this because I wanted to put it to the test. I built my ideal lifestyle and I said, I want to generate a 6-figure income doing this lifestyle. And so for the next 2-3 months, I maintained a $10,000 to $15,000 a month income with working 3 days a week. But I worked it like it was very strategically, right? And I'll tell you about all those pieces, but it was hardcore marketing, very good fulfillment and sales processes in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then my ideal after that. So now I'm in this phase of switching my ideal to be where we have actual consistent and residual income coming in every single month. And I'm building to where I can generate $65,000 a month just passively, where I don't have to work it and I can just have the marketing do it in itself. And that's my new ideal. So now I've created my new ideal and I say, okay, here's the question. Who do I have to become in order to enjoy this ideal lifestyle? Who do I have to become in order to enjoy this ideal lifestyle? Why would you ask yourself that? Well, here's why. Because I know people who actually are given the circumstance of a good lifestyle, but then they sabotage it because they haven't actually changed. Their integrity hasn't changed, how they show up, they're not confronting things, and they haven't grown. And I use business to grow me. I love business and entrepreneurship because it pushes me to the limits. Like there's times where I just want to quit. There's times where I'm like, I am done. I'm done teaching. I'm done speaking. As much as I love it, I'm done, because you just get to that wall and you're that next level. And sometimes it's liberating to say, I'm done. I quit. Next day, you start back up though, right? And you get back on the bandwagon. Okay. Is this making sense so far? That first step though, creating an ideal, like what would it really look like? Can you see yourself taking 3 months off or 1 month off? And what would you be doing during that time? How many hours would you be working? What types of things would you be dedicating to your time? Do you want a team? Do you want automated funnels? Do you want consistent sales? Do you like the one-on-one? Do you like more one to the masses? Do you want to have products, services? Are you speaking? Are you coaching? Do you like so many pieces? And do you want to travel? Do you want to actually get paid to travel? Do you want to get paid on stages? Do you want to pay to get on stages? Do you want to have high ticket items? All these things. Do you want to do retreats? Map out everything that you want without judgment, without trying to fulfill someone else's expectation. Don't do it because I'm doing it. Don't do it because your other coaches or other people you hear doing it, but because you have said, what is my ideal? What do I want? What do I really want? And you choose to do that because it's an integrity with yourself. That is the very first step to creating and maintaining a 6-figure income while balancing your business. So go through this exercise real quick. I would like for you guys, for those of you who are here current, I would like for you to hop on verbally and verbalize what you want in 1 minute or less. So this is how I would do it. In 1 minute, I'd hop on and say, Tyler, here's what I want. And I want you to be precise and clear. There's no judgments, there's no right or wrong, but I want you to vocalize this thing because that is key in actually owning what you want. It's not a dream, it's not a wish, but it's actually real. so real that you speak it, that you write it down, and you create an action plan to fulfill it. Does this make sense? Okay, so in 1 minute, you're going to hop on here in a second, and you're going to say, here's my ideal lifestyle. And then you're going to go over these topics. You're going to write out or share about work hours. So in a week or something, you're also going to map out how much, so like vacation time, impact, the family time and activities, okay, and then income. So in 1 minute, you can hop on and you can say, my ideal is in a week, I would like to work 20 hours a week where I have 3 or 4, whatever you want. So if I was mine, so I have 4 months of vacation time every year. And the impact I'm making is I'm impacting 50,000 people and then tell me your message. I'm impacting 50,000 people to help them understand their value, communicate that value, and get paid while maintaining a phenomenal family. And in my family time, we would spend building houses outside of the country. We would be able to do service in the church and have awesome reading time at home so that we can just read novels and enjoy our life, which we do all those things, which is super fun. And the income that I make is my ideal is to make $65,000 a month passively and residually so that I can do all these things with a passion. Boom. And then somebody else is going to hop on. Okay? If you're on the recording, I want you to do this out loud for yourself. Because if you don't have something down that's clear, you're going to go your whole life looking for the next thing and you won't know what it is. You'll jump from thing to thing and hope, this is going to help me. But if you don't have a crystal clear vision of your ideal, it's going to be very difficult to actually obtain that. Does that make sense? Is this kind of connecting with you guys? Just put in the chat box if this is making sense so far to map out your ideal. I've spent literally like 2 solid days helping people get their ideal. And in my deep dives, I've spent 3 hours just getting the ideal. There's so many pieces you could do on your ideal lifestyle. Okay, so somebody hop on. Who would like to share it? You have 1 minute and to share your ideal. I'll give you a few, 30 seconds or something to just craft this out. But whoever would like to go first, go ahead and unmute yourself and then hop on and share. And I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. And again, for those on the recording, take some time and think on this. Like, use this webinar time right now. Don't fast forward it, but actually take time. Even if you've done this 100 times, you can't do it too much. Every day it's going to improve and you're going to get more refined and more crystal clear on your ideal, which is key. You've got to know what you want before trying to go achieve something.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Is this Cheryl?
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
It's been a long time since I've done a live class. I feel nervous.
I know, right? That's why I do this.
Thank you. Okay. My work hours, my ideal is 2 hours on weekdays. I have a week of vacation every month. Sometimes it's for me and sometimes it's for my family. We go as a family, or sometimes it's couples, just me and my husband. Impact. Wow. I can reach the one, but I speak to thousands. Family time and activities. I have this desire, this dream that when I see people in need, that I can help them out financially. I can give them money. I can help them with medical bills. Surprising people at Christmas with Disneyland vacations for those who can't afford it. Just fun things like that. And income, well, my husband's doing something else, but I make $1,000 a day.
Boom. All right. Well done. Well done,
you.
Cheryl. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we've only got like a small group here of like, I think 3 people. So Benny, Jacob, If you don't want to hop on, just let me know. But if you do, it'll help you. So I'm all about getting people out of their comfort zone. So well done, Cheryl. Big woohoo to you. So way to go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So my ideal lifestyle is I work at most 30 hours a week, and I can use my other time to be learning things and spending time with my family and enjoying my life. I travel at least 3 months a year. I travel all over the world. I've been to at least 100 countries throughout the world, and I'm constantly learning new languages. I speak 5 or 6 languages, and I make videos online. My videos consistently get over 1 million views. I also get invited to do large speaking events. I speak at business events or motivational events, schools, and travel all over the world doing speaking and talking about my story. And there's thousands of people there. And for my family time, I have a few kids. We spend a lot of time together, on our hobbies, doing music and sports and having fun. I read very often. I can read at least a book every week or 2 books every week. And I also have enough money that I can donate to different causes and spend time and money doing things that I love to do and being involved in different events and volunteering. And I easily earn $200,000 this year.
Boom.
Ideal lifestyle.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Benny. Love it. Okay. Sweet. And then Jacob says, totally makes sense. This is what kids do all the time, but we stop giving ourselves permission as we get older because we are adults. Yeah, it happens quite often. So if you'd like to share, Jacob, just let us know. We've got a pretty small group today, so you guys can get some one-on-one time. So that's always fun. Okay. So I'm going to challenge you to refine your ideal lifestyle, to really tune in and ask yourself, is this really what I want? Or is this just based off of my own perspective right now? And is this based off of what other people want of me? Like, is this based off of other people's expectations? I used to have an expectation that I had to work all the time. That was an expectation that I grew up with. I just had to work. And then I was like, that's an expectation that I don't actually want. Like, if I had my ideal, I'd have everything automated so that I could go use my time to actually go make a bigger difference, facilitating training and then building and then really giving back. So I learned that I had a lot of expectations from when I was a child, and I continued to live those, which is ridiculous, right? But we all have those. So check yourself and say, is this my ideal, or is this based off of an expectation from someone else? Cool? Okay, let's move on. So hopefully you got this down. So step 2. Step 2 in creating and maintaining a 6-figure income while balancing with your family. Having your family mapped out, like them first, is key. Because you can grow a business that becomes a beast to maintain. Or if your ideal is family first, business around it, then that's what you'll create because it's your intention. So the second step is to form a product and/or service that solves a real problem that is costing people. So you need to actually have a product or service that solves a problem that's costing people. Now, it doesn't mean that it's costing people money. It could cost them emotional currency. It could cost them relationships. It could cost them health. It could cost them money, right? It could cost them overall just happiness. But there needs to be a cost, and it needs to be a real problem, and there needs to be a desire to solve that problem. So usually if there's a cost, people have this desire to actually solve the problem and invest in it. Does that make sense? Okay, so what is the problem that you're solving? And you can just put this in the chat box or write this down if you're in the recording. But what is the problem that you're solving that your product or service is providing? What's the problem? And then I'm going to ask you, what's the cost? What's the cost? Not meaning how much does it cost to change the problem, but the cost of the problem. Like, how bad is this problem? Because if it's like, hey, I have a product that helps hamsters and it helps hamsters lose weight. My problem might be hamsters are overweight. Well, maybe the cost really isn't much on that. I could say, what's it costing? Well, there's a fat hamster. Maybe it's kids might feel a little bit sad, but really no one's going to invest much in that because the cost isn't high. Where the cost is high, people value it more and they're willing to pay to change the problem so that they can get the solution. You following me? So what's the problem that you're solving? Put that in the chat box. And what's the cost that it is costing people not to solve the problem? I'll give you an example of mine so you can see this. But this is key. This is going to be key in your marketing. This is going to be key when you're setting up your 6-figure business plan, that you have to have this. Without this, it's just a nice wish and a thought and a hope, right? So for example, my big thing right now is I'm helping entrepreneurs who are in relationships master their business side and bring up their relationships so that they're both equally progressing. So I'm really helping a lot of entrepreneurs who are married or who want to be in a good relationship balance business and family life. And that's who we're really focused on right now. In the past, it was just the entrepreneur, just someone who wanted to grow their business. I realized over the years that those who grew their business the fastest were those who had healthy relationships with their family. Those who didn't were usually suffering from addictions, whether it's addictions to video games, pornography, food, or stress, addiction to that, then they would stunt their growth. So no matter how many skills I would teach, if they didn't get their ideal relationship down, their business would drop. And those who actually had good high businesses, without that relationship piece, I saw it always balance out to where their relationship drops more or their business drops more to balance back out. And I wanted people to be balanced, to have a good lifestyle in all things. So what's your ideal? Put that in the chat box so I can see it. Not the ideal, the problem that you're solving and the cost. Okay, here's it for me. So my entrepreneur couples, the problems that they face, number one, addiction cycles that keep them from living their ideal. Number two, their inability to communicate with a spouse without getting triggered. So many people communicate and they get triggered emotionally, and negative emotions stunt their ability to be real and authentic. Number three, they don't know how to grow a business. They throw a lot of money away in coaching and speaking and doing things without a real business plan. Number four, they have trapped emotions that stop them and self-sabotage themselves and create lazy cycles. And so I have all these problems. I have 7 or 8 problems that are key in entrepreneur couples. Number 5, they don't tap into the most powerful creation power on the planet, using intimacy to grow their business. Most people just get intimate to be intimate to fulfill themselves. But as you tap into the most powerful creative power on the planet as a spouse, then your business can grow right along with your intimacy. Super cool. Most people don't know how to do that. And no one taught us this, right? So what does that cost people? So those are the problems I'm solving. The cost, when they're not growing their business, number one cost is emotionally they don't feel good enough. So it emotionally costs them energy. It emotionally makes them feel terrible. It makes them feel not good enough and not capable, which stunts their growth, stunts their vision, and stunts their goals. So depending on what their goal is, let's say they want to create a 6-figure business and they're only making $40,000 and they want to hit 6 figures. So it's costing them over $60,000 a year by being a victim to their inability to grow the business, whether it's emotional or skill set. You follow me? And so that's a cost. Another cost is because they're avoiding things and their addiction cycles, it costs them a lot of time. I've wasted so much time over the years in addictive cycles. And with that time, I could be making a difference in someone's life. So that's a huge cost. Another cost would be the feeling distant from higher power. Like when you're disconnected from yourself and from your spouse, then you don't feel connected to your higher power, whatever belief system you have. And so that is also a cost because we want to feel like we belong. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need to feel like we belong. We're a part of something. And when you're in those negative things, when you're in that problem, you don't feel like you belong. So overall, there's all these costs that people go through by not stepping into their power and not confronting these and not learning the skills and not mastering the emotions. So what's yours? Might be with health, might be with relationships, might be with money. What's yours? I want to hear some feedback. Enough talk, enough chat. Let's hear some feedback. I haven't seen anything in the chat box. So what are your problems that your product and service is solving? What's the cost that it's costing your potential clients by not solving that problem? Who wants to go? You can either put it in the chat box or hop on here and unmute yourself. I'm a talker, so I'd rather do that. Cheryl says, imbalance of masculine and feminine energies within marriages and within self as a woman. Okay, so that's the problem. So there's an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy within marriage, within self as a woman. Cost, stress marriages, stress women and moms, stress with suffering families, which in turn impacts negatively their communities, cities, and nations. Good. So to see that, to really see that, do you believe that it's really costing people? Because if so, if you know that it really does hurt people not to get this solved, you're going to love marketing. You're going to market, and that's the next piece. You're going to market 80% of your time in the business. You're going to just love it. You can't stop sharing it because you know that it makes such a difference for someone's life. Yeah, very, very good, Cheryl. Okay, other people, Benny, Jacob, anyone in the recording, what's your problem? What's your problem? What's the problem you're solving? And what's the cost of your clients? Okay, Benny says, I'm having trouble with this one because I have so many passions and not sure where to focus. So now I wrote down a bunch of notes to work on this. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay, good. So just keep that note. Like, I got to get crystal clear on this. And I have a whole strategy for that of how to come up with exactly the problems. You know, that's for another time. Oh, by the way, I'll be sharing for those of you who aren't in any of our systems or haven't gotten the help you need, I'll be offering basically a business and a relationship breakdown so that if you need extra help on any of these, we can schedule it in. I'll show you all the details. It'll be really cool. So if you do need extra help, it'll be well worth it to just get that mapped out because it helped me, you know. So yeah, I'll share with you guys something sweet at the end of this for sticking around. Okay. So problem. Now, just to kind of teach you, Benny, one of the best ways is to map out your top 10 problems that you faced in your life. If you're going to coach or speak or mentor, map out those problems and then do this for yourself and say, what did this cost me? Like, what was my cost on this? When I did this, man, those cycles that I had, like on my trajectory, like real time, mapping out how much money I've made over the years, it had cost me almost $1.8 million staying in my addictive cycles, not knowing how to promote, not knowing how to grow a business. Not to mention, it cost me working with hundreds and hundreds of people who are still suffering because I didn't step into that place. And to me, that cost hurts more because I love seeing people change. Like, that gets me excited more than anything is when somebody steps into the transformation. So go through it by yourself if you don't know what the cost is. Or you can take your clients and say, you know, do it for them. Like, what are their top 10 problems and what does this cost them? And you can do it. But I would go first, right? That way you can get perspective on it. Okay, step number 3. Step number 3. This is called 80-20 rule. Now, in your week as an entrepreneur, you should have dedicated time spent in your business. So let's say you spend, spend 30 hours, or let's say, I'm not very good at math sometimes. Let's do something simple. So let's say 50. Let's just say, all right, let's say 10 hours. There we go. Easy number to work with. So let's say you work 10 hours a week in your business. So 80-20 rule means in the first phase of your business, and you should always have this, like no matter what phase you're in, but especially in the first phase, you need to focus 80%. And if I spell something different, it's because I'm creative. I did pass once grammar, but I'm not a grammar fan. I love creativity. So 80-20 rule. 80% needs to be spent on marketing. Now, what is marketing? I'll tell you what marketing is not. Marketing is not creating a website. Marketing is not having a card. Marketing is not just meeting people for the sake of meeting people. Marketing is not fulfillment. Those are all different pieces. Marketing is when you interact with another human being and give them a call to an action, and that action being to work with you. So anything that leads to that could be considered marketing as long as it's got its strategy for it. So a website could be part of marketing if and only if it's a funnel setup. So like if you're driving traffic to your website, which I wouldn't use your website for it, I would just build a funnel for it. And if you don't know what those are, we can chat later about that. But to drive traffic to a funnel, which is a call to action to say, hey, get this free PDF or get this free training. And then after that, you lead them to the next step, which is, hey, now that you've gotten step 1 of what we're teaching, let's teach you step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, where you can pay me money for it. Then that would be included in marketing because it's part of a sequence to where it's part of the client's purchasing process, their journey. That's part of marketing. Here's what is marketing. Marketing is offline and online. You can go offline, you can network, but networking is where you actually go, you share there's 5 steps to, I'm kind of going all over the place, but basically 5 steps to power networking, which is sharing your message, right? Getting what it is that you do, sharing your core story, why you do what you do, sharing your system about how you do it, and then inviting to what's called a strategy session or an exploratory session, right? And then getting that solid commitment. That's true networking. So networking is part of marketing. If you do Facebook stuff, now if you have a system for Facebook, so let's say if you're just on looking at Facebook, that's not marketing. But if you're on and you say, okay, I have to post 4 times to get engagements, on the 5th, I do an ask. Then each one of those could be included in your marketing time, okay? Because it's all part of the journey. But if you just do free stuff all the time and don't do any asks, that's just Facebook. Like that's not with a purpose. That's not marketing. That's something else. Marketing other ways are if you do paid traffic to things. So online or offline, you could be doing stuff to ads on Facebook, LinkedIn. We teach a lot of that. And then you could also be doing things like having something on a billboard is money spent on marketing. I wouldn't consider that a lot of time being spent. Like if you're always trying to tweak the billboard, that I would be careful to add that in here because people get too caught up in what's behind the marketing. You know what I mean? They get caught up in behind the marketing and they do all the things to make it look so good. And then they actually haven't shared it with anybody yet. So the act of sharing is marketing. The act of sharing is marketing. You should be spending 80% of the time that. So out of 10 hours, you need to spend how many hours? 8 hours marketing if you want to truly grow a sustainable business. Now, So the other pieces are fulfillment, which you need to spend that other 20% in. Fulfillment, also creation. So 2 of your hours should be spent in fulfillment and creation. Okay, and these are ways to continue to better your stuff. Now, eventually, let's say you spend the first month marketing it really hard, and you start getting packed, right? You get booked solid. You're like, wow, I've got so many strategy sessions. I'm like taking strategy calls and doing sales. Then you're going to need to adjust this because you're having more fulfillment time, right? If you don't have a system set up for fulfillment. And you'll see that some more of your time will be going to fulfillment. Here's the danger behind this. I see once people start getting a little bit of momentum, they jump full ship and they jump 80% of the time in fulfillment and 20 or less in marketing, which is why after about 2 or 3 more weeks go by, then they have this dead spot and then they have to start all over. So it's a constant like up and down because they don't balance their marketing. They don't have marketing strategies in place every single month to month, regardless of how much you're fulfilling, regardless of all the other pieces. You've got to always market. As a business owner, you are a master marketer and you've got to know that. Like everything you do should be tailored to marketing and sales, getting sales, marketing. That's the essence to creating a 6-figure business and beyond, right? Is this jiving? If this is making sense, let me know. Put in the chat box if you have questions so far. I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to go too slow. So I just want to know if this is helpful. This is giving some insights. I don't think I'm sharing anything new, but hopefully it's like, wow, I'm not doing that. Maybe I should implement this. Okay, Cheryl, yes, very good, sweet. Okay, so your homework assignments, let's see, what if you have too many products? Benny, what kind of products are you talking about? Like, are these products that you have to fulfill? Are these products that people can, like it's just a product they get and then it's done? Or describe what you mean by too many products. And if you want to hop on and just describe it verbally, sometimes that's easier. I'm a talker, if you can't tell. I like to talk. So what if you have too many products? Right now I'm selling physical products, books, and digital products. Okay. So then 80% of your time should be focused on marketing those. However, you don't just, is that the end game? Like because if it is, great. But do you have an end game for these people? Like if they get to a physical product or a digital product, is that the end game for them? Like once they get the physical product, they're it. That's it. There's no more upsell. There's no more progression for them. That's just, they get the product and it's done. This is connecting so many dots for me. Awesome. Great to hear that, Jacob. Okay, 80-20 rule. Start to adjust this as you get better and better and better. I'm going to share with you here in a second the phases of a business and the phases of success so that you know which phase you're in, how much focus to actually put into pieces. Benny says, I'd like to have other products, but right now I don't. Okay, so if that's your end game, then all your marketing efforts should be on your end game. So for me, I have higher tier programs like coaching and one-on-one, doing mentoring groups, things like that. So those are my end game. I have products and services, but everyone who gets my products and services, my goal for them is to get them over here so that they can have a transformation for life and not just a few products to help solve a temporary problem. So I try to get, like, I've created a big product, a big service to solve a lot of their big problems. And I highly encourage you to do that, especially as a 6-figure earner. Like that is a really important piece because most of the money you make on the products go right back into marketing. So for example, if you're doing a product and you sell it for $100 and you sell $1,000 worth today, like you make $1,000, then most people in this industry, they'll put all that 1,000 back into marketing again. Like let's say it takes them $50 to get a client. So it's $50 in marketing, gets one sale for $100. So you put in $1 and you get 50 cents back, right? So you put in $1, they pay, and like you or did I switch that? You pay your client. Let me write this down. It makes sense. So if your client pays you $100 and you pay $50 to get that client, then that's worth it, right? You put in, 50, you get out 100. So you put in 1, you get out 2, right? So you would do that all day. But most people, it's 1-to-1 in a lot of things. So it's like to get a client, they get $100, then you get it. So it's like they're generating $1,000, but then they're putting $1,000 back into marketing. And it's this continual cycle. Yes, they're impacting more people, but there's no like actual take home after that. It's all just going back into marketing. So the key is to see what's your cost of a client, your client acquisition cost, and then to set marketing money out and then start putting money into it so that you know your balance and what to grow it in. Now, the higher tier products, that's where most people get their income through and sustainability, because they could put one in and get one out. Like if they put in $100 and got, 100 back, then it's pretty much free advertising. You put 100 in and you get 100 back, and you just got a client and you impact their life. But if that's just, there's no growth there. I mean, unless you have some other products or services, there's no other income. So it's just, yes, you're growing a big impact. Yes, you're doing this, but really ideal lifestyle, probably not ideal. Does that make any sense, sharing it that way? Does that kind of give some perspective on numbers or how to think about marketing ways? I don't know if that made sense or if I confused the heck out of you, but hopefully that gives some perspective on that. I'll wait for your, then we'll move to the next step here. So let's see. I'd like to have other products where yeah, the numbers are super important. Do you keep track of this yourself or with your accountant? So your accountant probably isn't going to keep track of this. However, you do need a system to know how much you're bringing in and how much your like client acquisition cost is. So this is all through your marketing stuff. So like, let's say you're doing Facebook ads. So for us, we were putting in, for every $100 we put in, we would get back like 50. So it was in the hole. And so we were putting in 100, getting 50 back. So I knew either product was off or people were off or our message was slightly off, right? So as we tweak that, we want to get it towards like 1-to-1 and then 1-for-2, right? So that it's actually improving. And that's just testing the market and seeing and tracking the numbers. That's where that comes from. Or let's say you do this on, let's say you go network. Or you go speak on a stage. So if I go speak on a stage, for example, I went and spoke on a stage and I paid like, let's see, at one of them I paid, just recently I did like something for $600 and I went and spoke. It was a lower end kind of cheaper thing. So I spent $600, went and spoke. And then on the back end, looking at that, I was able to bring in, it was $4,000 coming back, right? So what that was if I spend $600 going there and I bring in $4,000, then I know that's an intelligent investment. Like I would do that all day. I would continue to go speak at that event and do it. I've also spoken at events where I'll put in $3,000 and I got $0 back, right? So then that means that market or that advertising is not very valuable, that it's not worth it to do it. And so it's always just tweaking it, looking where your message is, which goes back to the very first or the second step, which is what are the problems you're solving? How much is it costing your client? And are they really ready to like commit to solving those problems? So it's a lot of you tracking at first And I do have a tracker that I keep track of. It's called my sales tracker. And I have networking, speaking, Facebook, LinkedIn, how much money we've put into it, how much money we get out of it, right? So then it makes sense, like whatever is working, we put more into it. Whatever's not working, we either change it or we stop it. And that helps you maintain a six-figure income. Because if not, I have spent, like last year, to give you some insight, without doing that, I spent over, it was like $250,000 to $300,000 on growing our company. And we had so many gaps and so many things, that are leaks everywhere, and it was chaotic because I didn't have it dialed in like I'm teaching you, right? And so it's always making sure you got it dialed in and measuring the numbers. Now, once you get it good, then yeah, you can hire somebody out and watch those numbers for you, right? Because I'm like, my core isn't really a numbers guy. It's been a limiting belief that I've had to work on and improve consistently, because business is numbers and numbers are people. And so I had a disconnect there, right? So as I connected it, then it became easier. Does that help? All right, cool. Step 4. These are the 4 phases to success. And Jacob says that makes sense. It's easy to overlook the cost when you're more focused on the results. Yeah. So you want to just measure that out and keep track. Okay, so here are the 4 phases of success. And these I like to take all entrepreneurs through. This is especially in the entrepreneurial journey, okay? Phase number 1 is to master the one. This is a phase that you will never get out of. If you do, you will lose the foundation of what it takes to actually grow a company and maintain an amazing lifestyle with your family. If you stop doing this, you get into what's called pride, and guilty, been there, sucks, don't do it. Just take my word for it. Don't test it. It's not fun. So always work on yourself. Don't ever get complacent and say, finally, I've worked on myself enough. I just take a break. It doesn't have to be hard to work on yourself. It should be fun. It should be exciting. But mastering the one, meaning you, continually master yourself. Working on your mindset, working on your heart set, working on being in integrity with yourself and your values. That's the first part. Second phase is to master the one-to-one. We have an event called Connect, Master the One. Actually, we have events for all of these. So Master the One, we're actually doing, it's called Become, Master the One, and it's focused on self-mastery, right? That's going to happen in August. Master the one-to-one, we just did not too long ago. It's called Connect. And this helps people who are in the business world learn how to communicate your message effectively so that someone can see it, acknowledge it, and then want it and pay for it. That's mastering the one-to-one. Now, alone with these two, you could maintain a 6-figure business easily, especially as a coach or a speaker or a mentor. I started in this and I was very happy doing it, but that wasn't my ideal to stay in this. But you could if that was your ideal. Some people it is. Some people just love working on the one-to-ones, and they continue and they do really well. Right? So mastering the one-to-one. Third phase is master the one-to-many. And that's where you start to speak to the masses, where you're able to facilitate to the masses, but also advertise to the masses. So it might be speaking, might be, this is a one-to-many. Webinars, it might be doing live trainings, it might be doing events or retreats. Those are all included in mastering the one-to-many. And that's a whole system in and of itself, and it's a phase. I see people jump to this to try, and they bypass this without getting good at mastering the one-to-one. They don't know how to enroll like a client very often, and they can't do it consistently. So what happens if you skip a step You may get some results, but then you'll drop again because it's not maintaining consistency. These are the phases that if you can master each one and continue to work on them, you will maintain a good lifestyle and actually make a difference for other people. Does that make sense, these phases so far? Just let me know that you're connecting with this, that it's making sense. The fourth piece, the fourth step is mastering the 1 to millions, which represents several things. And it would be automation, it would be team creation, like sales teams, being able to have your automation. It'd also be fulfillment teams, like in fulfillment, right? So in our company last year, we had 2 coaches, 2 sales team members, and then like 3 or 4 other people just helping fulfillment. And that is in the team creation. You also have automation. So these are where you get leads and you're able to go out to the masses and you're able to pump traffic through Facebook, and because you have these dialed in. If people try to jump to this and they say, I just want a webinar, or I just want a funnel that'll just bring clients to me, and I'll wake up and boom, money's in my bank. Well, that's a nice dream and all, but a lot of people skip these pieces, which is the hard part. This is where the fun is, right? This is where you get in and get dirty and change and transform and connect with people. This is where the magic happens. This is just building upon the magic. If you don't have these pieces in place, you're creating, it's like building a foundation, it's like building an empire on a sandy foundation, and things will happen and it'll get blown over. It'll get washed away and you'll be like, I lost everything. And you hear that, right? When people lose everything. Well, I always know that it's usually a missing on one of these, or they just needed the lesson to teach somebody. So questions on the 4 phases. Does this give some good perspective? So I'm going to ask you, what phase do you need to focus on right now to better yourself? Right? And to really work and grow your business. Which phase are you in? Which one do you need to focus really hard on to grow your income and make a big difference? In growing a 6-figure business, here's kind of my story behind it. My first 6 figures I made, I tapped into all of these within the first year. So I worked on myself consistently. That's key. Like, you got to do that. And that one's easy to forget. The second one is I was mastering the 1-to-1. So my first goal was to get 10 clients at $1,500 or $2,000, one-on-one clients. So I went out, and in a month and then a month and a half, I was able to generate 10 new clients for $1,500. You do the math. Now, when I did that, then I did that again, and I raised my prices a little bit, and I realized, man, I'm trading a lot of time still. Like, I'm working a lot of time. So then I went to phase 3 and I started to work on many, and I started to do webinars where I would teach and facilitate online trainings for 6 to 8 weeks in length. And I'd still charge $2,000 and I'd get 10 clients. Now it's all online. Now I'm spending 2 hours of fulfillment. So my fulfillment time drops. The impact is getting bigger. The income is getting bigger. My fulfillment time is going down so I can spend more time with my family. Then I was like, okay, I did that twice. So I did 2 rounds of those where I'd enroll $1,500 to $2,000 clients into a webinar live where I'd facilitate and teach my system. Then I went to the 1 to million section, which is automate and duplicate. So then I created a whole online course that was done already. And then I would sell $2,000 courses that was pre-done. And then I would just do group coaching so I could still get that fulfillment piece. And it was group coaching in a once a week. And so it became very easy for fulfillment because I could have 12 people join for $2,000 and I'd still be only spending 2 hours a week fulfillment. Catching that? Whereas before, if I had 12 clients for $2,000, I would have to spend 7 to 10 hours each with them, right? But because now it's all automated, now you can actually scale. Now you can get leads and just convert because you don't have to worry about, can I handle this? Can I take on a new client? Man, do I have the capacity? Like, is this going to take way more time from my family? That's why it's key to get to this quick, right? And then go back and refine and do it again. And you're always refining all of these areas. Is this connecting? Is this helpful for you guys? Let me know if this is any value. Is this adding value? Tell me what you're getting out of it. Questions, like insights. I would just love some feedback because I've never taught this one before. So yeah, I'd like to see some feedback to let me know if I need to tweak it, need to go deeper in something, need to switch something entirely, throw something out. So Benny says, yes, I'm on the Master 1 still, I think. Okay, good. Somebody hop on, unmute yourself, give me some feedback. What are you getting from this? What insights? What are some takeaways? Somebody unmute yourself and do it for me. If you would, that'd be great. And then we're going to move on to the next step.
This is Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
I think I've been trying to start on phase 3. I mean, I've been working on 1 for several years.
Yeah.
And I think I had a few rejections in the Master, the 1-to-1. And I recently watched a video called 100 Days of Rejection.
Nice.
And it's all about going out and getting the rejection and getting used to it so it doesn't break you down or debilitate you. And I'm like, I think that's why I was trying to skip phase 2. I can see, going out and just talking to people and sharing my message, how that could be effective if I wasn't afraid of being told no.
Wow. That's awesome, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let me share my story with you on that. When I was in Branson, Missouri, I was deathly afraid of phase 2. I was really good at phase 1. I was an eternal processor, meaning I could process my emotions like nobody's business. I was good at it. And boy, howdy, you give me a tool, I'm going to use it, and I'll spend all day going through working on my emotions, like eternally processing. And that's called processing with no purpose. People get addicted to processing emotions, working on themselves, because it actually does create a high. It gives you a release of endorphins, which people will do, and they'll just stay in the cycle, and they'll be addicted to transformation just for transformation's sake. So what I learned was I need to have a vision of what I'm doing it for. And as I set my goal on making $100,000 in a year so I could get my wife a grand piano and live my vision, I went out and I said, okay, I am scared of people. I'm honestly super scared. I was the kid, I would sit on the bus, I'd look out the window and fall asleep and hope no one talked to me. I grew up having one friend in school. I grew up being super shy. I was not extrovert at all. Like, if people saw me, they would think I was an introvert. And I just loved being home. My first time away from home, I was at a camp. And I was like 12. And I cried by day 3. I was like bawling like a baby. Like, that's how much trauma I had inside. And I was like so deathly scared of people. And now I do what I do, right? There's hope. There's hope for everybody. So I went through that. And so I said, okay, I need to confront this second phase. I'm scared of enrolling people. I can't do it consistently. So I said, okay, I'm going to do what it takes. And I woke up one morning and I was just like so broke. I had no money, no income. I was like, oh, I gotta do this. So I woke up, told my wife, I'm leaving for the day. I'll be back at the end of the day. And I'm going to go enroll someone. And she's like, okay. And so I go out and I'm knocking in Branson, Missouri. And I don't know if you've ever been to Branson. There's these cowboys and there's a strip in Branson that are shows and then tons of tourist stuff. So lots of tourist shops. So I walk into a tourist shop and I don't know my message. I don't know any of the skills I'm teaching you. I just know I need to get in front of people. So I walk in and I say, hey, I'm Tyler Watson. I'm dressed super casual and I teach you, and I'm a business coach. And I teach businesses how to have success in their business. And I had never ran a business, but I was, working on all these mindset stuff. So I wanted to teach businesses this because it helped me. It helped me overcome addictions and helped me be a better husband. So I went out and I talked to 10 of these, and every single one, I just felt rejected over and over and over. And I'd go back and I'd write in my car. I would literally finish my statements, go back, write in my car, I feel horrible because I sucked at this. I was terrible. I did this. I feel this. I feel all this opposition. I'd tap out some stuff and I'd go to the next one. And I use this to master phase 1 and 2, where I processed with purpose now. Because every time I went out, I confronted new obstacles. And I found a lot of resistance around communicating with people and asking them for things. So I got rejected 10 times in a day. Then fast forward next couple weeks later, I was like, I really got to figure this out. So I went out and I said, maybe I just didn't put in enough numbers. So then I talked to 26 companies over the next 2 days, and I got rejected 26 times. I was like talking to AT&T stores. I left the town because there was no other businesses. So I left the town 30 miles away and drove to another town and then knocked doors, went to malls. I did everything to try to share my message. And I got rejected 26 times. Banks, everything. I had no idea what my niche was, my message, all over the place. But that taught me one of the most powerful lessons. Number one, it taught me I actually have a message that I care about. That no matter how many times I get rejected, I'm still going to share it. And number two, it taught me I lacked skills. That I needed skills to actually grow my business. Then I dedicated time, energy, and resources into understanding the second phase. And I spent over $35,000 my first year trying to master that phase 2, was just mastering the one-to-one, understanding, how do I talk to people? How do I enroll? I got so good at it. Whereas I was so terrible at it, I got so good at it, I created a whole brand around it, where now it's called the Enrollment Masters. I even wrote a book, Enrollment Effect, and I teach it now. But back 4 years ago, you would have laughed. You would have laughed if I told you that I helped people enroll clients. You would have laughed. You said, no way, no way, no way. So that should give some perspective and insight on the passion, the shifting that you can go through. Does that help? Because the clients I teach, I say, good, let's go put in the numbers. Let's learn how to get over rejection. Let's learn how to phrase your message. Now let's do it intelligently. Let's get to your niches so that they convert, right? So good insights. Okay, last step, then we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to share with you something real simple that if you'd like to get access to me, you can. And it'll be super epic. So here we go. Last piece here. The fifth and final step, is to spend time and energy on the very thing that you created in step 1, in the first step, which if you blocked out and you said, my family is extremely important to me, then you calendar that out. And out of your 80-20, right? So 80-20, that's in business. Now this is focused in business time. So let's say you have 10 hours here. Then all your other hours, like stay-at-home moms, this is usually the kind of thing it does. Or if you have work, right? Some guys I've taught are working 40 hours a week or 80 hours a week, some of them. And so then they have to map out very strategically, but they still need to schedule in time for their family, things that business does not interfere with. So like dinner time, you need to prioritize your ideal. And you don't make any type of exceptions, because you will be tested. You will say, are you really going to live your ideal? Like if I get this time for my family and then all of a sudden I've got this big deal coming, like this big client, and they can only meet right when I have dinner. Am I going to settle and sacrifice my family time? Or am I going to say, no, I'm the expert. This is my ideal. If they're truly my ideal, then they will change their schedule and move mountains to meet with me. You see the difference there? Because I know too many people who they'll move mountains and do everything, move family out of the way for business, which in my mind, that shows a lack of priority, and that I know that their relationships are going to drop. When you set something that you want, you don't fudge on it. You say, this is my ideal and I live it. And if things will be coming at you, it'll be tested. But you've got to understand that you need to spend time and energy on your ideal. Otherwise, you'll get burnt out. It just won't be fun anymore. So always, always, always schedule time. Schedule time for your family, for your loved ones, for vacation, for celebration, for just being excited about it. Make sense? Okay. Awesome. So we're going to wrap up. Any questions before I dive into the final piece here? If this is good, give me a thumbs up or got it, making sense.
I have a question.
Yes.
About an hour ago, you talked about, I'm trying to remember how you worded it, and it just piqued my curiosity about creation and spouse.
Yes.
I don't even have a question about it. I want to learn about it.
Okay, that's
It piqued my curiosity.
okay, good. Yeah, I'll share a little bit here for a second with it. Let me give a story to represent this, okay? And then maybe I'll do a webinar on it later. And also in our one-on-ones, if you want to do a one-on-one, I'll share you some really cool techniques that you can do. This is kind of an intimate subject because it is. It's about intimacy. Spouses. Now think about the big picture of everything, right? Man, woman together for what purpose? To create, to procreate. Man, woman get together to create something, which is another human being. Like the most amazing experience on the planet. And unless you're the woman and then you're like, yeah, you think it's amazing. But really it is. It's like amazing to see a human being being born, right? Out with two people. Now, if that's the most amazing power of creation that we are capable of, think about this. When we are, if a man and woman, when I'm talking to them and I ask them and I'm coaching them, I love to see where they're off. If their business is off, usually their intimacy is off, actually. And even if they're like, our intimacy is wonderful, love it, then they're not actually tying it to what they're creating in the world, which is value and really making a difference. So there's techniques and ways during intimacy, because during intimacy, you're the most vulnerable more vulnerable than any other time. Like the most vulnerable place a human being can be is during intimacy. And we can talk all about the science behind that. Like what happens when someone's going through an orgasm and what happens through like all the pieces. Like it gets very in depth and very powerful. So during those pieces, during those times of intimacy, if that's really the most vulnerable place for the mind to receive and to take on suggestions, then think about this. Like when I sucked at what I was doing and my wife wasn't living her mission, during intimacy, we would do techniques and processes during intimacy to help build our mission and help fulfill our goals, to where it would go through our subconscious and switch the limiting beliefs faster than anything else. And it helped me get laser vision on what I wanted, why I was doing what I was doing, and it helped me conquer fears. Because during intimacy, I was able to connect in that powerful way. I don't have time to go into all the different types, but this, or all the different processes and how to do it, because that's a whole nother day or a whole nother conversation. But does that give some perspective, Cheryl? It's incorporating techniques and things that can bypass the subconscious during intimacy to make someone feel completely fulfilled and empowered. Because what stops people from doing these is their own disempowerment. So if you can empower each other during intimacy, miracles happen. It's so awesome to see when people get together and actually tune into one another in that level. That's when the unstoppable becomes like so powerful, right? So is this like sexual transmutation? Then yes, it is. Sexual transmutation taken to the next level, because the practicality of that, because he talks about the idea behind it. And then because sexuality is very powerful, it's a powerful part of all of us. And Napoleon Hill, he tapped into it. And then my wife and I, we tested out just a lot of things because we learned so many things. And we're like, well, if that's true, we could do this and this, and what would this do? And then we tested out so many cool things, and then we helped our clients do it. And we're like, wow, like this is fun. Like intimacy now is like, hey, is our business dropping? Let's go get intimate, right? Like that's the kind of cool thing that happens. It's so cool. And it's so powerful to see people heal. But if there's old traumas, like especially women or men who aren't feeling fulfilled, or addiction cycles, that affects your sexual transmutation energy that Napoleon Hill talks about. And then when you are intimate, it's just pure physical, and it's not actually creation. It's just a physical interaction, which is dull and it doesn't last very long. So if you can tap into that power and it becomes emotional, spiritual, physical, and all the other O's on the planet, then it ties to every piece in your life. And that's when so many cool things happen. So anyway, does that kind of give you some insight, Cheryl, on what the concept is?
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. And yeah, great. Any other questions on stuff we've covered or things that you'd like to hear in the future? If you got it, give me a thumbs up, type in the message, whatever, got it.
I've heard you teach classes about, my friend Sharina came to your Impact to Income.
Oh, yeah.
She talked about how you did a whole class on E=MC². You touched on it briefly in your last webinar with your 5 relationships. Are you going to be teaching more about that or teaching that again, or do you have a YouTube video I can grab so I can get some more training on that?
Yeah, I could teach on that for sure. So these are good. I'm jotting down ideas of things that people are wanting in the future. So the E=MC² is intriguing. And then intimacy, creation intimacy to grow your business. Good. And then, yes, I do have things on that that you can get access to. And in fact, I'm going to share the same offer that I did last week with a little bonus to it this week. So if you guys are cool with it, I'll just share real quick what it is. You guys cool? Let's take 3 minutes.
Woohoo!
All right, cool. Let's do it. Sweet. So what I have for you is actually a link. Oh, that's not the link. Let me find the link for a second. All right, here's the link. So this is what I call a business relationship assessment. And in our last, I had several people sign up from my last one, and we did some deep dives, and people got some phenomenal results. It was cool. And so I'm going to do it again because it worked really well for people, and people got some great results. So what this looks like is this. We don't know what we don't know. And that costs us more than anything. It's the things that we don't know. That's the hidden stuff that we're like, I feel like something's off, but I just don't know. Like, what is stopping me from growing my business? Sometimes it's with relationships. Like before I taught and learned how to tap into that sexual transmutation that Napoleon Hill talks about, I didn't know that I didn't know this. And as I started to apply it, I was like, holy cow, how come nobody else is doing this? Like they're missing out on some of the biggest transformation in the world by not knowing this. So that goes into relationships. The other thing is sometimes it's around money. Like what actually things that we do or don't know about money. Most people I interact with, and I had this in my life, I was a slave to money. Here's why. My decisions were based on money, not on impact. My decisions were based on money, not on impact. So if an opportunity came my way, I would say, do I have the money for that? And if the answer was no, I wouldn't do it. So I was being a slave to money. My inspiration, my higher power was saying, you need this. And then I would say, I can't, I don't have the money. And I realized that I had a warped definition of money that I thought money was providing for me subconsciously because I wouldn't do something unless I had the money. And then as I switched that and started to focus on the next piece, I had a warped view of my higher power. Because if I truly knew that I was supposed to do something and I didn't have the resources, then I should have the faith to be able to acquire the resources and make it happen. Therefore, I wouldn't be a slave to money, but I'd be a servant of my higher power. Kind of a switch in thinking. Huge switch for me. And so I realized most of my life, I was a slave to money. And I had to switch that to understand more of how to trust in growing my business with my higher power. The next piece is on self. I had a lot of issues from when I was a kid, parents going through divorces. I struggled with the addictions. I had a lot of self-sabotage that I was unaware of, and I needed to conquer that and master this. So many of us will go do something or we'll invest in something and then we won't take advantage of it. That shows self-deprivation. Or our health will get hit. Also self. Limiting beliefs in self cause that. They're just symptoms that pop up. So self, higher power, money, relationships with family and spouse. And then the last piece is the business and clients relationships. These are the 5 key relationships I taught about last week. And so in business and clients, in our business and our clients, there's strategy and skill involved as well as the relationship with the clients. Many of us don't know how to go enroll clients, how to create that. What's the system? What are the 5 steps to the networking? How do we actually build out a blueprint where we know the exact problems we're marketing to? How do I actually market it on Facebook or in live? How do I fulfill? So that's all in the business and client relationship. How do I create a marketing campaign? How do I create a marketing strategy for a 6-figure business? That's all here. We all have little pieces, but there's always one that needs the biggest focus. And in this relationship assessment, I want to do a deep dive with you as you fill out the questionnaire to help you understand which one you need to focus on and give you specific instructions and strategies to go do that. Whether you work with me in the future or not, just by going through this will help you launch your business and lifestyle. So normally this is something for like $500, and I've offered things like this, live events, and I've done for $500. Here on these webinars, I'm testing this, and on this link, the enrollmentmasters.com/business relationship assessment, this here, it's in the chat, is for $97. You can get plugged in to where we do a deep dive on this. And if it could help you tune in to one of these areas, help you learn a tool or a system or a structure to help you go get 1, 2, 3 more clients, 5 more clients a month, or to help you master your relationship with your spouse that you're co-creating during intimacy, or help you rid yourself of money sabotaging thoughts that no matter what goal you go for, you stop because of the self-talk around money, or to help you tune in so that you know how to ask and receive directly to grow your business through your higher power, or to master your self-mastery, get over symptoms of health so that you can actually have energy to do your business. What would that be worth to you? And for me, that's worth a lot more than $500, right? And I spend $1,500 just for sessions for people. I'll do that for coaches. So I want to offer this to you. It's basically, I'm doing this. This is why it's worth it to me, because a lot of people who go through this, then they see the power of what I'm doing and how much results they can get. And then they want to coach with me. So it works. It's a funnel that I use that requires some commitment. It requires 1 hour of your time and $97, right? So with those two things, you can start to master one of these areas and hopefully apply those 5 steps that we talked about today. So I'm opening this up. Now, if you do enroll today, I want to give you a bonus, since there's only a couple of you on. I want to give you a bonus course that is called Authentic Enrollments. This teaches on this business and clients piece. I didn't cover this today as much in depth, but it covers how to take the power networking piece, so how to go get high paying clients networking. It covers how to share your story in a way that attracts your ideal clients. And it covers on the strategy of sharing your message and diffusing objections to help people who are supposed to commit. So normally I sell that alone for $100 to $200 online. I've taken that off. I haven't sold it for like a year, and I was like, man, people need this stuff. Like, this is good stuff. I forgot I had this. So I would love to gift it to you. For the first 3 people who sign up today, I'm going to gift you that Authentic Enrollments course. And so it's a pretty cool, it's online. You'll just get access to it, and you'll get access to it for as long as the internet lives. So if you want access to that, sign up, click the link, and then go through the assessment. It's $97 again, and we'll have a one-on-one conversation. We can do it over Zoom or over the phone, and I'm going to have you fill out those questions, and then we're going to do a deep dive on the one that you need help with the most. So whether it's building out a 6-figure business plan, whether it's self, whether it's connecting to your higher power or money or a relationship with your spouse, we're going to hit one of those categories, maybe 2, but usually in an hour I hit 1 really deep and then go from there. And if something appeals to you, you're like, man, I need more help with this, we'll set up another time to talk, and I'll do what's called a strategy session, which is a 12-step session that helps people go from confusion to action and helps them invest in themselves and their company. So that's how that works. Questions on that? So again, $97, you get the conversation with me, and I'll gift you the bonus. And the bonus I will just do manually for you, because I just threw that in within the past 5 minutes, because that was something I felt like you guys wanted. So questions on that? Is that cool? Yeah, super phenomenal deal. And even if you don't want to talk to me and you just want to get that, you can just let me know. That alone is worth $97. So cool. Awesome. So just curious, who's going to take me up on that suggestion? I want to know if somebody's going to hit it up. The enrollmentsmasters.com/business relationships assessment there. So I'll also hopefully shoot you an email with that link. But if you want to click that link right now, then copy that down so that you get that. Okay. Cool beans. All right. Yeah. Talk to your wife about it first. See if it's a fit. $97. Great thing to do. And then I would love to talk to you, Benny. That'd be great. I think we could do a huge deep dive, especially getting you some results on what the message is and where you're marketing. Cool. Okay. So if you do that today, I'll give you the bonus. If you do decide to do it tomorrow or the next day, I'll still hook you up with the one-on-one. I wanted to give you the bonus for fast action act today. So it's a great course, Authentic Enrollments. It's got I don't even remember how many videos. It's got 3 videos on finding your high paying clients, and then about 4 or 5 on sharing your story and how to use your story to attract high paying clients. Really cool stuff. Okay. Hey, thanks everybody for joining me. Hopefully this was good. If this recording should be done hopefully by the end of tonight, and I'll send it to you. And then if you have other people who this resonates with, then let me know. Reach out, share this with them, because I think the more people that learn this and the authentic way to grow a business and balance their family, then the better the world will be. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. Thanks so much. And it's awesome to see you all. And we'll see you guys later. I look forward to having you guys through the assessment. It would be fun to talk. So we'll chat. Have a great one, and we'll talk later.